Hey there. Thank you for being my educator to interview for this project. I'm going to go over a couple of our characteristics or learning environments. So we have four of them that we are focusing on: learner centered, knowledge centered, community centered, and assessment centered. Now, this week I was focusing on assessment centered and community centered. So I know that assessment centered is something that teachers usually do. You can do it in two ways. You can use assessments in a summative way. So that's like the STAR testing at the end of the year. People are trying to see what kids know um, accumulatively versus what is the other one? Formative assessments. And those are when the teachers are using, like, if they are writing a draft for a paper, they're going to comment on those. So that's where the teacher is like giving input. And so that kind of assessment is formative. So I tend to go for the formative versus the summative. And then community based learning is all about how can we incorporate what their home life looks like? How can we incorporate their parents into their learning experience? So I just have a few questions for you, actually 16. So bear with me here and answer to the best of your ability. I don't expect you to know all of them. A lot of these are pulled right from our standards and teaching professions. So just answer to the best of your ability. Okay, so question one. How do you foster a learning environment that is emotionally safe? Yeah, I think that's really important, especially with what you do. Actually, why don't you go ahead and say what grade you teach and what subject? Okay, and how long have you been doing this? Okay, cool. So you're a new teacher too. So cool. Okay, so second question is, do you employ any classroom routines that help structure your Okay, cool. Yeah, routines are important in, I guess, every subject. I know, especially for me, I teach special ed, so routine, routine, routine. So I know how important those are. Okay, question three. When you began teaching, did you know much about assessments. Alrighty. I feel the same way. I feel like as I've gone, have more experience, 4 weeks or whatever in teaching, I've definitely learned more about assessments, but it's way over my. So, question 4, how do you make sure that subject matter is accessible to all? That's perfect. Cool. So within these unprecedented times, no one has ever been in the situation that the teachers now are in. So in this time, how do you maintain a spirit of collaboration, humility, and flexibility? Okay, cool. Thank you. In order to progress in your profession, what professional developments are you seeking? What are you doing to improve your skill as a teacher? Modules or Alrighty. So we only have about 5 more minutes until our camera goes out or our recording stops. So we have 9 questions. So let's really get to it. So, did you know what your learning style was before you began teaching, or did you find out as you taught it? I'm sure that's how a lot of people are. Okay. Did you know what your learning style was? I just read that. How do you stop yourself from getting overwhelmed when you have challenges? Ah, I need to do that. Okay. How do you help students make connections between what they have learned and what they will learn? And I guess that's kind of where assessments kind of fall back into. Yeah. So, what teaching strategies do you use to build on cultural knowledge? Yeah, yeah. So, you teach in Wasco, so Wasco is a pretty highly populated Hispanic population. How can you bring in like cultural norms that they have into your teaching style? Okay. Are you aware of the different learning environments, or were you aware of them before I talked to you about them today? That's okay. Those would have been very far from what we were looking for. I'm just kidding. Okay. What are ways that you familiarize yourself with your students and assess their strengths? Yeah, that's perfect. Okay. How do you work to ensure that there aren't instances of intolerance in your classroom? Mhm. Okay. Does your school have measures in place to help protect students from bullying, racism, or sexism? Okay. Did your district give training on how to deal with such things as bullying, racism, and sexism? All right. Okay, we have 15 seconds. Last question. Have you been in a situation where you've seen intolerances of students in the class? Okay. Thank you so much for your time.